The better we know each other, the better we work together.
Welcome to Agency for Change, a podcast from KidGlov that brings you the stories of changemakers who are actively working to improve our communities. In every episode, we'll meet with people who are making a lasting impact in the places we call home.
Hey everyone, this is Lynn Weinman. Welcome back to another episode of the Agency for Change podcast. All right, I have a lot of friends who are nonprofit executive directors, and one thing I hear from them frequently is that running a nonprofit can be a lonely place. A lot of times you're stretched thin. There's a lot of things that you need to do. And while you've got a great staff and great supporters, you're always figuring out new ways to get things done based upon what's happening in the world and what's happening in your community. In the community of Lincoln, where I live in Lancaster County, there's a great organization called the Cause Collective. They themselves are a nonprofit, but they're dedicated to strengthening local nonprofits through collaboration, education, and advocacy. Today, I get to talk with their executive director, Jason Varga. Jason, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Lynn. It's wonderful to be here.
I always like talking to you, Jason, and I'd love to have you start just by telling us more about Cause Collective. What is it? What's the mission? Give us an introduction, if you will.
I'd love to. And the feeling is mutual. I know we both
Thank
always
you.
love our conversations as well. Cause Collective is a nonprofit membership agency. So the quick version we often use is it's akin to a local chamber of commerce, but
Oh,
solely for
yeah.
nonprofits. Our
Nice.
mission specifically is to strengthen nonprofits to better serve the community through collaboration, education, and advocacy.
Nice.
So
I
we
like
have
it.
in each of those areas, we have several different services that we support our membership with.
That's great. And I know you have a lot of members too, Jason, which I think it's fantastic. Someone told me the other day that, and I haven't double checked this fact, so I hope
Yeah.
I'm not spreading mistruths, but someone told me that Nebraska has more nonprofits per capita than any other state. Have you ever heard of such a fact?
Oh, I wish I could confirm that. I'm not sure, but what I can tell you is there's a very healthy and strong nonprofit sector
Yeah.
in Lincoln and Nebraska overall, and it's 11% of our economy can be attributed to the nonprofit sector in Nebraska. That was a study done by a statewide agency, Nonprofit Association of the Midlands, a few years ago. So
That's
we know
fantastic.
they make an impact.
So that is a verifiable fact. And for our listeners, I'm
Yeah.
going to find out about the other fact or maybe fact that I shared, and we'll let people know if that's verified too. So, Jason, you talk about your mission as being strengthening nonprofits. Why is that so crucial in this community at this time?
It's always a good time for that. It's
Yeah.
always crucial, I think. I'm biased towards all of this, but I've been in
Yeah.
nonprofits for 25 years. So the one of the things, especially on a local level, it's especially important that we're in sync with each other.
Yeah.
I know what another agency is doing. I can share that with another agency that might be doing some similar work. There might be some potential collaboration, but just being aware can really help those in need get to the right place sooner.
I
So
like
that
that.
creates a stronger and a more efficient nonprofit sector. And our bottom line is we want to help the community, whether it's
Yeah.
people, animals, kids, whatever your focus area is. If we're all talking to each other,
Yeah.
and, and we're all understanding what each other do, we're going to get people to the right place sooner, and we're going to have a more efficient sector within a local municipality.
Yeah. One thing I love about nonprofits is different than the for-profit side. They're much more collaborative and partnership oriented versus competition oriented. I mean, very often you'll hear a nonprofit say, I'm going to find out what they're doing, or I'm going to find out what they're doing, or I maybe can't, I've got a person or a family or a situation that we can't fully serve, but I'm going to call my friends at this organization and see what they can do. And I think that's a really neat thing. And I think your organization does a lot to help foster those relationships. Would that be true?
That's so on, Lynn. Yeah. And I Cause Collective can't take full credit, and I can't prove that we can take any credit, to be honest, but I like to think that,
Yeah, yeah,
this happens naturally in Lincoln, and we're here for the right reasons, again, which is to help the community. So yes, in some sense, we are in competition with each other, and if that's used as a positive motivator, that's okay.
yeah,
But again, the bottom line is to support the community. So we want what's best for that person. And that may be referring them out to another nonprofit.
yeah,
This is you mentioned in this time too earlier, and this is I believe, a particularly strong time in Lincoln.
yeah,
There's a lot of new executive directors, and they're talking well, they're communicating well. So again, they're doing that just because they're good people and nice people. But
right.
my hope is that Cause Collective can create this in perpetuity, this attitude of working together
Yeah.
and understanding that this is enhancing the entire community, including the for-profit business community. If we are stronger as an entire community, that's going to help your business in the
Wow, that
for-profit
is so
sector
true.
too.
Yeah, so true. Jason, you mentioned something that I've noticed as a kind of a recent phenomenon, maybe in the last year, but I think a lot of executive directors who had been with their organizations for a long time, they made it through the pandemic, which was incredibly stressful. They then made it through a workforce shortage, also very,
Yeah.
very stressful. And it feels like there's a great changeover right now. A lot of, really seasoned executive directors are saying, it's time for me to take a rest, which is
Mm.
really sad to see, but it is exciting to see the new people come up, with new relationships and new ideas. And it's got to be fun for you to watch that happen as well.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. Yeah. And I'm sad to see, many of my friends or people I've worked with for years.
Yes.
But I'm very excited for them, happy for them. It was a stressful time, and it's been a little bit of and this has probably happened in other cities too, but a little bit of a perfect storm. We had executive directors who were there 20, 31 person was there
Yeah,
40
that's a
years.
long
No,
time.
I personally can't imagine having the same job for 40 years, but
Right,
they were just
right.
an amazing friend and person, and they just really built that agency. So I'm happy for them. But I'm equally excited to see this new generation. And that's
Yeah,
where, again, my hope is that Cause Collective can shine, particularly to help them expedite their experience and become a better executive director. Anyone can, and there's so much
yeah,
information online, and it is very useful. We have a resource page we encourage people to use, and it's all over. Yes, I want you to use those resources.
yeah,
But you cannot replace that with knowledge from an experienced executive director and being willing to pass it on to a new executive director or encouraging a group of new executive directors within a similar field
yeah,
understand what each of their nonprofit businesses do and how they can better work together than the previous group of executive directors did, even if
I
they did a great job, which to my knowledge, they all did
I
well.
think they did an amazing job, right?
Absolutely.
But
I love
it's
that. But there's always
yeah,
room to grow and say times change, things change. What we learn about how to better provide our services, how to better treat people, all will always change. That's just because we're human. So
yeah,
I love to see them pick those things up, and hopefully Cause Collective can aid them and make that more efficient for them so they can spend more time doing better services than just all the
yeah.
mundane stuff.
I
But
think that's really cool too, Jason, because I think I've never been a nonprofit executive director, but I've
you
worked
should
with
be.
a lot of them, right? And my experience in talking with many of them is that it can be a very lonely place, right? Like there may not be a lot of I don't know, there may not be a lot of people within your organization that can really tell you how to do your job, right? Which is often the case for somebody who's at the top,
Yeah.
but you've got to report to a board. You still have to run a business. You have to
Yeah.
make a payroll. You generally have to pay your rent. You have to file your paperwork and do all of the things. You have to prepare for your audits and accreditations.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, most of them have to then go out and also either they're responsible or they have to manage a staff that is going out and fundraising, whether that's through grants or through advocacy or through contracts or through, but it's a different form of business that I think most people aren't as familiar with. So I think in Lincoln and
Yeah.
Lancaster County, they're very lucky to have Cause Collective and you there to help convene them, bring them together, which I think is a neat thing. So, Jason, I'm
Thank
really
you.
curious. How did you get into this line of work, right? It seems like you've kind
Yeah.
of got a dream job here. You're the person who's serving the people who are serving the people, right?
I do. I know it probably sounds cliche, but I do love my job. And I've
Yeah.
always enjoyed like just being efficient and getting things done as smoothly and as fast as possible without
Yeah.
sacrificing quality, of course, as much as you can.
Absolutely.
I may make that mistake, as my staff may atone to. I try to get things fast, but not when it comes to serving the community, of course. There's
Yeah.
other things, but I just love being at a central agency where I can be the
Mm.
one that connects someone to a good job or connects a new ED to an experienced ED that wants to help them say, how did you get through this? And that peer-to-peer support is invaluable.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
more we learn about that, the more value we find in that kind of support is learning from each other and how they got through something. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I've been in nonprofits 25 years now. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
I started at, where did I start? Well, I started at Lincoln Public Schools as a para,
Oh,
but
really? Okay.
that was not related to nonprofit work, but technically that was a nonprofit, right?
Absolutely, it was. I think you can
But
count it.
let's count it. More officially, I started my career at Lincoln Literacy, one of my favorite places.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
just doing a great job these days too. I started as, I believe my title was program coordinator and then associate director. Bounced around to a couple more, a place called First Project, and then spent
Yeah,
several years at the Asian Center, another popular nonprofit,
absolutely.
and then ended up here at Cause Collective. So I've been at this agency for 12 years and director for 8 years at Cause Collective.
That's amazing. That's great, Jason. And wow, what a great path I think you had to get to this position because there are several different types of nonprofits in your background to give you that well-rounded feel too. And I think that probably really helped.
It did. Yeah. Yeah. It was really nice. That experience, just being along. Again, I worked with experienced staff and directors and to help me get me where I am today.
That's fantastic. So, Jason, how does the philosophy of Cause Collective shape the way you operate and interact with your members?
Wow. Oh, that's the best question I've ever had, I
Oh,
think.
wow. Okay, gold star to Maddie and Brooke, who helped me write questions. The
Wow, that's
best
great.
question you've ever had. I love that.
No, no wonder. Oh, I love it. Well, we have, anyone who has an office or provides services and is registered as a nonprofit within Lancaster County is eligible for membership.
That's great.
So we let them sign up. We have an application process. So we want the ones that are interested to align with our values. We try to, as best we can, take a strong stance on equity and inclusion and
Absolutely.
hold to those values. So we support that as much as we can. We emphasize the importance of ethics in running a business and running a nonprofit. We cannot hold all
Absolutely.
them accountable, but we want to help support them and help them realize the value to those values and that
Yeah,
philosophy of those ethics that we try and instill and support. And we want them to come to us for support with that as well too. And I absolutely do not claim to be the expert on all these area of expertise, but
I
This
think that would be impossible, Jason,
I
right? Like
think
I
I
think it would
yeah,
be too much for one person to hold
that's
all
just
that
yeah.
information.
Yeah, I know a little bit about a lot of things, but I don't know a lot about anything necessarily.
I like it.
But I can help them find someone that is.
Yeah.
We have a great support group of executive director volunteers and other levels of staff who volunteer and say, hey, let me connect you with this person. They've been through this. I know they've been through this to support you with that. And that's where a lot of the collaboration and networking comes in.
That's great. So, Jason, what's on the horizon for you? Do you have any upcoming initiatives or outreach efforts that you're focused on at Cause Collective?
It's so much.
I kind of knew that there you would have some good
Yes,
answers here.
I'm excited. And part of this is due to our growth. We've been just fortunate to double in size in the last 5 years. We now
Yeah,
have over 170 nonprofit members that
that's
represent,
great.
I don't count the staff. I probably should, but there's, thousands of people that work
Yeah, but
among.
170 different nonprofits who are
Yeah.
supported by your organization. That's really big.
Thank you. I
Congratulations.
love it. Oh, I love it. It's fun. So one of the things of many that's coming up that we've discovered is can be challenging to encourage people to join a board of directors.
Yeah.
One, just the myths that surround it. A lot of people who would make wonderful board of directors on a nonprofit just think they're not qualified.
Yeah.
And not, of course, 100% of the population is not probably a good fit for each agency. We
Right.
recognize that, but I just think there's thousands of people in Lincoln we want to get the word out to that say, hey, let me show you a few things. It's
Hmm.
important to know certain things about your role there, but it's all pretty easy.
Yeah.
And you would probably make a good board member. So we actually have a page on our website called Join a Nonprofit Board, where our members can submit openings if they have an
Yeah.
opening. And then our job at Cause Collective is to drive the community there. And we're actually in the middle of a marketing campaign that's not quite ready to be out yet, but we're getting some help with that to drive the community there and say, hey, for
That's
example,
such a great idea.
uh,
Yeah.
see something that they like, and then they make that first contact. So we provide trainings for our members, but also for our corporate sponsors. And if you have a group large enough, I don't have a specific number, but if you have a group large enough who's interested in just learning more about being on a board, we'll come out and give you some coaching or some advice
Yeah.
and encourage you to join.
That's great. Jason, to kind of give some support to anybody who might be listening that's thinking about joining a board, in my experience, being on a board is a great way to learn new things and maybe even flex those muscles that you don't do get to use every day, right? So if there's
Yes.
some skill or talent that you have or interest that you have, being on a nonprofit board can be a great way to lean into that. And I've heard so many people since the pandemic who've really said, I want to make a difference. Being on a board is such a great way to make a difference. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Shout out to you for that. I'm curious, since we're talking about this and it's on your website, for our listeners who would like to learn more, what's the best way for them to connect with Cause Collective?
The best way is to visit our website at causecollectivelincoln.org.
Great. We'll have that on in the show notes on our KidGlov website as well for anybody who didn't get it and wants to just hop over there and click that link. And then I imagine when you launch the board campaign, that'll be prominently on your website as well, and probably
Yeah,
on your
yeah,
social media too, and all the places. All
yeah.
right.
And that page is up now. They can visit that page.
Oh,
There's
fantastic.
a button called Community Outreach, and there's
Okay.
5 things listed under there. One of them is join a board. But yes, it's upon us, me and my staff, to help get the word out. So we're working on that, but it's ready to go if anyone wants to go check that out.
That's fantastic. Well, I hope we can help you get that word out as
Thank
well,
you. You
Jason.
are, yes.
Yeah. Jason, another question for you. I'm just curious, not necessarily completely related to Cause Collective, but What advice would you give to anybody who is really passionate about making a difference in their communities and do want to effectively engage and support local nonprofits? I'm guessing number one is going to be volunteer for a board.
I have to say that, yes.
Uh-huh.
And that's my, within the nonprofit world, that's my passion.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love helping boards. I love helping encourage people to do that. So yes, I am absolutely biased towards joining the board. And you don't need any experience. We love to encourage people with lived experience who have
yeah.
been served by a nonprofit. They make great board members too.
That's
However,
fantastic.
in addition, yes, there's lots of ways and there's lots of opportunities, volunteer opportunities too. And there's a new website that just came out pretty recently that's run by United Way
Okay.
in Lancaster County called volunteerlnk.org. So if you want some different opportunities, there's a lot of listings on there from a wide variety of nonprofits.
That's
So
great.
we like to work with puppies, cats, people, any of those areas. There's probably some opportunities on there. So that's a great place to start.
That sounds great. We'll get that in the show notes as well, volunteerlnk.org. We'll get that in
Yeah.
there. It does seem like being as though it's mid-afternoon on a Wednesday, Jason. I am thinking volunteering to help with puppies would be incredibly stress relieving, wouldn't it?
Oh my gosh,
Seems
I'm
like
sure.
such a good idea at this very moment, I think.
I had a meeting yesterday and someone there brought their dog and it was just made my day, I
Just
gotta say.
lovely. Yeah. All right. So Jason, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat next. I'm gonna ask you
Yeah.
my favorite question. We've asked it on every podcast. I am really inspired by motivational quotes, and I would love a Jason Varga original quote to inspire our audience.
All right, I can do this. And any of my friends in the nonprofit world are gonna laugh because I say this all the time,
Awesome.
but it's so applicable to what we do at Cause Collective. I just love this one. So, which is the better we know each other, the better we work together.
Ooh, yeah.
I love that because it has a double meaning to me, in which we talked about earlier the value to nonprofits understanding what each other do and getting the people they serve to the right place sooner, and it creates a more efficient nonprofit sector. There's not too many of one service. It helps balance things out. But it's also about building the trust and morale. One of our main services is a monthly meeting for our members. And it's much harder to be mean-spirited and dislike people and not work together if you've met them in person.
Yes, so
If
true.
we met, and you and I have met several times, and we've built
Yes,
trust, right?
right.
So having that, again, that competition can be motivating, but with a good intent and the purpose of supporting each other is much easier when you've met people in person and you know them. So
Yeah.
by knowing each other, we're going to work together better. And again, the whole community, for profits, nonprofits, those in need are going to be better off because we're working together and strengthening each other.
That's beautiful. I love it. Let's see if I get this right. The better we know each other, the better we work together. Really
Perfect.
strong, Jason. I love it. I love it. So, Jason, this has been a fun conversation. We knew it would be, but as we wrap up this time together today, I'd love to hear what is the most important thing you would like our listeners to remember about the work that you're doing.
That's a good question too. Gosh, I think I'd love them to understand the importance and how built into our culture it is to be engaged in your community.
Mm,
We have our
yeah,
board match page. There's a volunteer LNK page, and never under any sense of pressure. We don't want anyone to do what they're not prepared for or not comfortable with. But it is part of our culture. The nonprofits are here to stay. That's how we work.
yeah,
And any way there is always some way that you can be involved. You may not have
yeah.
discovered it yet, but everyone has a place to be engaged civically or support their community. So I'd love to encourage everyone, even if they think they're not ready or they've never done it before, find out how. If you're not sure, contact me. I'll help you get on that path
Yeah.
on my own time. But there's so much need we have in our community, and I think there's enough people to support that need once we get everyone involved.
That's fantastic. Jason, thank you for that. Thank you for the conversation today. I
Thank
fully
you.
believe the world needs more people like you, more
Yeah.
organizations like Cause Collective, more nonprofits like the 170 who make up your membership. So just thank you for taking time out of your day today.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun to talk with you, Lynn.
I agree, Jason. Thanks a lot.
We hope you enjoyed today's Agency for Change podcast. To hear all our interviews with those who are making a positive change in our communities, or to nominate a changemaker you'd love to hear from, visit KidGlov.com at KIDGLOV.com to get in touch. As always, if you like what you've heard today, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and share. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.